Hello guys, this is part 114 of ASP.NET video series. In this video, we will discuss about adding properties to composite custom controls. In part 112 of this video series, we have discussed the basic of ASP.NET composite custom control. And in part 113, we have discussed about adding these controls to Visual Studio's toolbox. In this video, we will discuss about adding properties to the composite custom controls. If you have not watched part 112 and 113, I strongly recommend you to do so before proceeding with this video. At the moment, the calendar composite control does not have an image associated with the image button. At the moment, the calendar composite control does not have an image associated with the image button. Here you can see. So if you look at state of our composite custom calendar control, it look like this. We have an image button here. We have an image button here. But look at this, there is no image associated with this image button. Now I want to associate the image that you can see here, calendar.jpg. I want to associate this image with image button, with this custom calendar control. Let's see how to do that. Obviously, if you have to do that, we have to have a property defined on this composite calendar control. Okay. So where is this calendar control defined? If you remember, we have created that in the ASP.NET empty project named custom control, to which we have added server controls file with name custom calendar. The custom calendar control is in ASP.NET empty web project. Okay. So to this class custom calendar, we need to add a property which the end user can use to set an image of their choice for the image button. Okay. So we need to expose property on this control. Okay. So let's call the property as image button image URL property. So we have an image button within this custom calendar control. So we need to do what? Go to notepad first. Where is the notepad? Here it is. And this is the property. This is the piece of code that we have to copy and paste. We have to copy and paste. Here we will copy and paste it here. So let's call the property as what the property name? Image button image URL. So we have an image button. So we have an image button, and where is the image button? We are talking about this. We have a image button. Within this custom calendar class, within this custom calendar control, we have an image button, and we want associate an image with that image button. We want to associate an image with that image button. So I am going to call my property as image button image URL. URL property. Look at that. That is going to be name of the name of the property, image button image URL, and it is a string type, Obviously path of the image is a string, so the type of the property is string, and it is a public property, so it is available outside of that control as well. And look at this, I am using two attributes here, and look at this, I am using two attributes here. The category attribute and description attribute. So what are these attributes and why we are using them? To understand the need of these attributes, actually look at any of the control. Let me drag and drop another button control. Maybe from the toolbox onto the web form. So I have this button control. So where is the button control? We take this and drag and drop it here. So I have this button control. Now if I flip to the design mode, select that button and press F4. To get to the property of the button. So select that button and press F4 to get to the property of the button. Look at this. When we are in the properties mode, look at this. I have sorted these property by category. They are not in alphabetic order. in alphabetic order. They are categorized. So we have different categories here. Now that is the category appearance. For example, is the category, and within that we have the property displayed here. And look at this. When I select a property, the property descriptions appears. Here. Okay. So basically, if for the property that we are going to set for this custom calendar, so if for the property that we are going to set for this custom calendar here, custom calendar control, I am specifying the category under which this property, which property? Image button, image URL. I am specifying the category under which this property should appear and the description for that property. So I am saying this must appear. So I am saying this. This must appear under appearance category, and the description is, set the image icon for the calendar control. Okay, so that is the category and description attribute. Description attributes. This is an image button, image URL property. This is an image button, image URL property of type string, with public access modifiers, because we want user to use this property to set the image of their choice for the image button. Okay, then it is going to have the get and set accessor, and then it is going to have both get and set accessor. Now here within the get accessor, what are we doing? In the get accessor? Now this image button, image URL property, whatever image they set to this property, what we need to do with that property, that image will be used to set the image URL. What we need to do with that property, that image will be used to set the image URL property of the image button. That we have. So we have this image button object. So this image button object has got an image URL property. So this image button has got an image URL property. So anytime they set a value, okay, that value we are setting that to the image URL, property of the image button in the set accessor. Okay, but look at this. Before we actually set the value, before we actually set the value, we are making a call to ensure child controls. Okay, before we actually set the value, we are making a call to ensure child controls before setting this value. And we are making a call to ensure child controls method. Now this ensure child controls method, basically this will ensure, or this method will check if the child controls are created. If the child controls are not created, then this method will trigger a call to create child controls. Because create child control. Okay, if the child controls are not created, then this method, which method ensure child control method, will trigger a call to create child controls method. So if you remember, we have this create child control method. We have this create child control method, which actually creates the child control object. So this custom calendar control is actually composed of three child controls. Text box, image button, and calendar control. Okay, so this ensure child controls. Look at this, what we are trying to do here, using this property. We will either try to get a property of the one of the child control, which is the image URL property, of the image button. We will try to retrieve that using the get accessor. Or we will try to set the value for that property for the child control. But in order for us to be able to do that, that child control must be created in the first place. So if the controls are not already created, and if somebody is trying to set or get the value of that property from the child control, we don't want that. We don't want null reference exceptions. So this is why we call this method ensure child control. This is why we call this method ensure child controls. Anytime we try to retrieve or set a property of a child control, just to make sure that this method method ensure child controls method is going to ensure there are going to be child controls, because this will check if the child controls are already created. If not, this method is going to trigger a call to create child control method, which will make sure the child controls are created, and then we will either set the value or get the value So within the get accessor, what we are doing, we are checking if the image URL is not null. The return is not null, then return the image URL. Else return string dot empty. It is as simple as that. So a simple image button image URL property. Now let me build the solutions with that change. So all we have done so far, so build the solutions. So all we have done so far for this custom calendar is that we have added this property. And I have built the solution. Build succeeded. Now what I am going to do, I am going to go back to the web applications. Where is the web application? I am talking about this. Go to the source. I am going back to the web application project. We are testing this. And I am going to get rid of this register directive. So let me get rid of this register directive. And control declaration. Because since we have changed the code, let's remove those references from here. Here we need to remove the references. Custom control. So let's remove those references and re-add them. Also, if you remember, in this solution we have a reference to custom control projects. We have the reference to custom control projects. So let's go ahead and remove that. We have already removed that as well. And then from the toolbox, let's remove this custom calendar. From the toolbox, let's remove this custom calendar. So how to remove it? Go to custom calendar, where it is. Okay, here it is. Remove this and click OK. So we have removed that custom calendar, and to remove that, simply we have showed you that process. And from the now let's clean the solution. Now let's clean the solution. How to clean the solutions? We know that. Go to the solution project, clean solution. And then let's re-add the composite calendar control. So choose items. So choose item. Where is the choose items? Here. And what we need to do? We know that our project is created in C drive. Okay. We know that our project is created in C drive. So I am going to browse to C drive, the user Dell desktop. Where is the desktop? And go to the folder 112. Okay, this one. Now from the 112 folder, go to the project, custom controls folder, click again, custom control, object folder, debug, and here is the generated assembly. Here we have our generated assembly. So choose it. Okay, we have successfully select the assembly, custom control. Now we have this custom calendar control. Okay, now click OK. Now we have this custom calendar control. Let me drag and drop this onto this web form. So we need to drag and drop here. So drag and drop. And now remember, we have added that image button URL property. Okay, we have added this image button, image URL property. Remember this. So let me go to this control F4 to get to the property windows. Which property windows? Whose properties window we need to go to? Go to the design and go to the property window. of the calendar control. And look at this. Now you have to make sure that you are in categorized view mode. You make to sure that you are in categorized view mode of the properties window. If you are in alphabetic order, it will still show the property. It will still show the property, but it will not show the category under which it has to appear. But if I saw that by category, but if I see that by category, then look at that category, the image button URL, the image button image URL, property is present under appearance category. And also notice in the properties window, in the property windows at the bottom here, it is showing the description that we have specified when we are actually building that control. So set the images icon for the calendar control, and look at that, this is same description, and look at that, this is the same description that we have here. And look at the category, it is appearing under appearance. And look at the category, it is appearing under appearance category. Okay, now I need to set an image. I need to associate an image to this image button. To this I need to associate an image to this image button within the calendar control, and we have this property to do that. So if you look at this within the image, within the image folder, I have this calendar.jpg. I have already copied and pasted that image into the image directory. I have already copied that in the, here you can see calendar.jpg directory, in the image directory. So within this project I have images directory, and within that I have calendar.jpg. So I want to associate this image button. Now to that particular image. So let's see how to do that. So image button image URL. So I am going to set that to image button image URL. So I am going to set that to images / calendar.jpg. calendar.jpg. Okay. Now look at this. As soon as I set that property, there it is not actually look at that. If I go to the source, it has set that property. Okay, so if you go to the source, it has set that property. Okay, look at that. It is not actually showing that image immediately. It is not actually showing that image immediately there. I save that, but still it is not showing that image. I save that, but it is not showing that, but still it is not showing that image. Means when you are at the coding of the means I have saved that, but still it is not showing that image. But let me go ahead and run this now. But let me, so I am going to run it now. But let me go ahead and run this now. But at runtime, it actually shows that. Look at this at design time. Look at this at design time. It is not picking up that it changed to that property. It is not picking up to that change to that property. In fact, it is not retaining that value. In fact, it is not retaining that value. But look at this. At runtime, it is actually showing that image to me. But at runtime, it is showing me that image to me. So how do we correct that at design time? I still want, as I said, when I change my property, I want the control, the designer, to update the control immediately. Because if you remember, if I drag and drop a button control, if I change the text for the example on the button, the change will be immediately reflected on the design surface at a design time. Okay. But look at this at runtime, it is correctly show the image. It is correctly show the image that is associated with this image button. But at design time, it is not picking up that a property change. So what do I need to do to correct this problem? It turns out that it is very simple to correct that problem. All you have to do is within the control, custom control, we have to override another method called a recreate child controls method. Okay. So we have this recreate child control method. This is called by Visual Designer. So this is where we need to go to the presentation slide. So we have this recreate, where is the recreate child controls method. This is called by Visual Studio Designer to recreate the child controls at design time. So basically So basically what should happen, when we change this property at design time, where is the property? So basically what need to go to the property. So basically what should happen when we change this property at design time, the image button image URL property at design time, the child control need to be recreated and then assign this property so that the change will be shown immediately at design time to the end user. Whoever is changing this property. And to do that, we have to override this recreate. To do that, we have to override this recreate child controls method, and this recreate child control method is actually coming from the base composite control. So go to the custom control file. So we have to override this recreate child controls method, and this recreate child control method is actually coming from the base composite control. This is the composite control, base class composite control class. It inherits from composite control, and within composite control we have this virtual method recreate child controls. All we have to do is override that method. So if I type override and then press space and then type recreate child control, look at that method is coming from composite control class. Okay, press tab. Press tab and it should automatically generate the skeleton structure for that method, and all I have to do here is call ensure child controls method. All I need to do what here? All I have to do here is call ensure child controls method. Ensure child control method. Okay, and if you remember, what does this ensure child control method will do? It will check if the child controls are already created. If they are not created, it is going to trigger a call to create child controls method, which will actually create the child controls for us. Okay, so that's it. The second change that we have to do. Let me rebuild this project. Let me rebuild this project here. So rebuild. So rebuild the solution. And let me go to the web application project where we are testing this. Let me remove this control from the toolbox. Right click, choose item. And that lets me remove the control from the toolbox. So how to remove the control from the toolbox? Where is the custom control? Here it is, custom calendar. Okay, remove it. Click OK. That should remove that reference. And let's go ahead and get rid of the control declaration. Let's go ahead and remove the declarations. And the control itself. Also remove it from the reference folder. Here it is. Remove this. Okay, and let me rebuild this. Let me rebuild this. Okay, that's fine. Now let me go ahead and add the control back to the toolbox. So let me add the control back to the toolbox. Choose item. How to add the control? Go to the toolbox. Right click. Choose item. And navigate to C drive. Click browser. Navigate to C drive. And then the user folders. Dell and desktop. Here is the desktop. Come on, here it is. From desktop, go to the folder 112. Where is the folder 112? Here it is. And then custom controls. Again, custom controls, obj folder, debug, and here it is, the generated custom controls.dll assembly. So open this. Okay, we have got our custom calendar assembly. Click OK. Let's drag and drop now this custom calendar onto the designer surface, onto the designer surface, which should add the should add the custom calendar control. And let's flip the web form to designer mode. Let's flip the web form to designer mode. Go to the property windows, select it. Go to the property windows. Now let me change again this one to images / calendar .jpg. Look at that. The moment I have changed that property, it is actually reflected within that control. Now for us at design time itself, and all we have done until now is to override that method. To override this method, recreate child controls method. Okay, so we have corrected that problem, but then there is still an issue with this. Look at this. The alignment of the text box and the image button there, they are not properly aligned. So basically what I want to do is I want to resolve this cosmetic issue as well. And to resolve this cosmetic issue, if we put this text box control and this image button control inside the table, then they are going to appear properly. Basically I want this to be aligned in center within the text box. Okay, so let's go ahead and put these control in a table control. Okay, and to do that I'm going to go back to the custom calendar control. And change this render method. Change this render method. Now all we are doing at the moment is we are rendering the text box. Control and the image button and calendar. Okay, so how I am going to render a table using this text writer? So how I am going to render a table using this so copy this. So how I am going to render a table using this text writer, using this text writer object, Okay, It is very easy to do. So I have some code already typed for that, so let go ahead and change that method, and then let me copy and paste the method here. It is same render method. All I am doing at the moment is in addition to, so let me copy and paste here. It is same render method. All I am doing at the moment is in addition to rendering the text box, rendering the text box, rendering the text box. Where is the text box? Here it is. Text box, image button, and calendar, control. I am also rendering a table. Okay, so basically we have this HTML text writer object. So basically we have this HTML text writer object. I am calling this method attribute. I am calling this method attribute to render. I am calling this attribute render because we need to call this method because I am adding a cell padding attribute as well. Okay, so that is an attribute for a table. So cell padding of 1. So cell padding of 1. Okay, I am adding that using add attribute. Add attribute method. And look at this, I am using render begin. Look at this, I am using render begin tag of the writer object to render an HTML table. Okay, an opening tag for the HTML. For the HTML table, and after the table is rendered, you know that a table is a collection of table rows, and each table rows is a collection of table data, that is table cells. Okay, so I am first rendering a begin tag for table, and then within the table we will have a tr, and within the table we will have a tr. So a begin tag for tr. And within tr we need a td, and within tr we need a td. So we have a td here, and then within the td I am adding a text box, control, and then I am closing the td, and then render the image button, within that td, and then close the td, Okay, so basically the text box and image button are present in same row but in different TDs. Okay, so this should properly align them. And then finally what we need to do, we need to close the TR. This will close the TD. This will close the TD. The end tag for TD. This will close the TR. And this will close the table. This will close the TR. And this will close the table. And finally render the calendar control outside of that table. So it is as simple as that. So it is simple a repetition of code. This method looks a little big, but it is all simple and straightforward code. Okay, this method look little big, but it is all simple and straightforward code. Just to render the image button and text box, text box inside the table. That's it. So let me rebuild this, and this should correct that cosmetic issue as well. So build solution. So build a solution. Let's go back to Visual Studio. Let's go back to web form. Remove the custom calendar. Remove the custom calendar. How to remove the custom calendar? Choose item. Where is the custom control? Custom calendar. Where is the custom calendar? Come on. Here it is. Custom calendar. Click OK. So let me go to toolbox. We have done that. Let's go to the solution explorer. Remove the references for that. Where is the reference? Here it is. Remove it. We have removed that. And remove the control declarations. Quickly remove this control declaration. Control declaration itself and the control itself. So at this point we should have, the alignment issue also fixed. So let me re-add the control. So choose item. Where is the choose item? Browse to C drive. The user, Dell, after Dell, go to desktop. Where is the desktop? Here it is. And then go to, from desktop, go to project 112, folder 112. Where is the folder 112? Where it is? Okay, it is here. custom control, again custom control, our folder, debug, and there is our generated assembly. Select it and open it. So I have that custom calendar. So click OK and drag and drop it here. Let me drag and drop it here. So we have the control here. There, flip to design mode. Let's set the image button image URL property. So images / calendar .jpg. So that should pick up that image. Look at that, even at design time. It is properly aligned there. So if I go ahead and run this at this time, so run this. As you might expect, it should be properly aligned. Okay, so look at that, it is properly aligned. In the previous, you can see that it is little bit awkward. It was now it is properly aligned. Okay, so look at that, it is properly aligned there. Now this calendar control, the custom calendar control still has some issues. For example, when the calendar control renders, we don't want this calendar control to be immediately visible to the user. Initially only the text box and image button should be appeared. When I click this image button, that is when this calendar should appear. And then as soon as I select a date, the selected date should be populated within the text box. We will see how to solve these issues. In our next video session. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.